That's Johnny Chapman in the number 90 Chevrolet. Mike Bliss still the fastest of 10 drivers who have qualified. Let's check in with Krista.
Steve, down here with Jeff
He ran a
Burton.
30.79 yesterday, and you can see his second lap was a 31.02. So I think he's putting himself pretty much on that edge that you don't want to be.
Yeah, 4 drivers will not race later today. 28-year-old Curtis Davis out of Gaffney, South Carolina. Driving the 49 car after Curtis Davis, we'll see Dale Earnhardt Jr., Robert Richardson Jr., and then Terry Cook, Dennis Setzer, and Greg Biffle. 13th NASCAR Nationwide Series race at the Las Vegas Motor Speedway.
Yeah, Curtis sometimes can really pick it up good for qualifying. For some of the opportunities he's gotten, he's really done some good jobs on qualifying day in this Nationwide Series.
Yeah, he really has. You know, I've always still contend that I think he's a much better race car driver than he's been able to, you know, show. And each week he's able to come out here and jump in just about anybody's race car that needs to get a car in the show and put down impressive laps. And he knows how to work on them and take care of it. I mean, it's just, he comes from a racing background. His dad, Johnny, the owner of the 01 and the O car, also the 0 car.
Like he's right in that danger zone again, there with Johnny Borneman. He could pick it up. Needs to pick it up a couple tenths.
Well, but at least in his case, he at least picked up a couple tenths over yesterday, and that's the only thing bad about Johnny Borneman's lap was he was clearly, if he'd ran that 30.70, I think would have put himself in a pretty good position to make this race. And right now, Curtis Davis, he has picked up a couple of tenths, and he's going for 2 right now. And if he can't pick up a little bit more, he's going to jump ahead of Johnny Borneman.
He did it.
And he does.
That could make the difference between making the race or going home. He's waiting for some feedback from his crew chief.
Yeah, well, you're faster than you were yesterday.
That's what he wants to know.
Can I come back in? Can I come back to the pits now? Do I need to drive on at the gate and drive back to North Carolina?
That's Terry Cook in the number 91 Chevrolet. Now he has, Hermie, he's got 10 starts here in the Camping World Truck Series, the 4 top 10s, and I know those vehicles are very different, but I would have to think, or I'm guessing, that track familiarity gives him some added confidence.
You can never have too many laps on a racetrack or too many. You learn a lot about a racetrack. You know, we've talked about how turns 1 and 2 got a few bumps in it, and you learn a lot about how you can move around on a given racetrack, regardless of what you're driving, to gain maximum speed. And Terry's got a good run going here.
Yeah, he got himself locked in the field right now with that lap right there, Hermie. 18th quickest on his first lap. Now, I don't know about you. It's time for that crew chief to say.
Phil Parsons is going to be calling in from North Carolina if he's there, telling him to bag it down. Good first lap.
A little surprised he's going for 2 right now.
And he's pretty aggressive right down there along the white line down along the bottom.
Yeah, he slowed down quite a bit on his second lap. So.
Good run, though, 18th.
Yep, he is locked in, 18th overall, and Scott Speed still the fastest here in NASCAR Nationwide Series qualifying. Up next, we expect Dennis Setzer, Greg Biffle, Derek Cope, and Joe Nemechek. And there is Dennis Setzer.
Remember, you used to race a lot against Dennis, didn't you?
Awesome. Yeah, he's another Jason Keller type guy. I mean, always competitive, runs up front, does it the right way, a real classy guy on and off the racetrack. And you know, he's a lot better on these 1.5-mile tracks than he gets credit for, but you put him on a flat track or a short track and you can count on him being competitive.
Cut his teeth over there racing the Hickory Motor Speedway.
Yes, sir.
Raced against Dale and Glenn Jarrett and all that group over there.
Tommy Sigmund.
Yeah.
Had some fun races.
Tommy Houston.
Had some fun races with Dennis back in the day at South Boston, Orange County, Hickory, those kind of races. I mean, he's a really, really good racer.
2 wins in this series, and much like Terry Cook, 10 starts here in the Camping World Truck Series at Vegas. 7 top 10 finishes for Dennis Setzer.
He got locked himself in too.
Looks like it.
Yes, sir. Right behind Terry Cook. So Dale Earnhardt Jr., Terry Cook, and Dennis Setzer locked in. And Jeff, you talked about it a moment ago. We look at the times posted by Curtis Davis and John Borneman. That is, they're in tough territory.
Yeah, they really are. Again, I really felt like if you could run down in the 30s, it would pretty much, get you in the field today. And anything around a 31 flat was going to be kind of iffy. And those guys are going to have to sweat it out here as the remainder of the field. Still got about 9 guys to go here.
Dennis picks it up a little bit on lap 2. Actually moves ahead of Terry Cook up to the 18th spot. So good job by Dennis in that crowd.
Derek Cope in the 41 car has qualified 29th overall. That locks Andy Onstein in the 02 car into the show, Dick.
With Greg Biffle,
Big trouble for Mike Harmon. Lost his number 84 Chevrolet in between turns 1 and 2, and look at the damage to that formerly pretty race car. Harmon, what happens?
Step up here.
Yeah, this is what happens. We talked about you telling your driver what you have to do to get in this show, and he really needed to pick up his practice speed from yesterday, and you drive a little bit harder down in turn 1 than he did any time yesterday, and you just don't know exactly what the car's going to do. It may have bottomed out, Jeff.
Well, it looked to me almost like you see the brake rotor, pieces of brake rotor coming out beneath that car. It looked almost like when the car got down, it got in those bumps, and it upset itself and broke loose a little bit. He tried to chase it up the racetrack, and we saw every time anybody gets up in that area right there, they just can't keep it off that outside wall. And here he goes again. Mike Harmon, 84, rounding hard in the outside wall. I mean, it is killed that left front tire, left side of that car.
Let's take a look in real time.
He was in trouble as soon as he got down in the corner. He got in those bumps and the car slid up the racetrack. Then you start putting more wheel into it, Jeff, trying to get it back to the bottom of the racetrack, and it just got away from it.
Well, his misfortune turns out to be good news for Brian Keselowski, because he is now locked into the show. There's 2 drivers remaining to qualify, Stanton Barrett and Kelly Byers.
Distracted behind him, so good job for Stanton Barrett.
Well, good news for Stanton is his crew chief is a veteran, Paul Andrews. We've talked about that. Paul's won races at the Sprint Cup level. And so now Kelly Byers takes that number 10 car out onto the racetrack. He is the final driver to qualify. And anxious moments now for Derek Cope.
Kelly's one of those guys, he's in a car that's been fast enough as far as practice was concerned, and if he can just go back out and equal what he did in practice, he'll be safely in the field. So, which is bad news for Derek Cope, but it should make it a little easier for Kelly to be able to do this. I mean, he just needs to repeat what he did in practice.
Yeah, Derek Cope sitting on a 30-70, and Kelly Byers ran a 30-40 in practice yesterday, so and he's got a good lap going right now. If he just holds tight with what he's got right there, a good conservative lap, he'll lock himself in easily.
Very solid lap right now for Kelly Byers right now down the back straightaway into turn 3. Flirting right now with the top 15, definitely a top 20 qualifying speed.
Jeff, right now, if I was his crew chief,
I'm waiting.
Shut her down. And that does bump Derek Cope out of the field. Kelly Byers, outstanding lap. 18th overall, 179.18. And there it is. He shuts her down off of turn 2 down the backstretch.
Big picture racing right there for Kelly Byers in that group.
Let's go to Christopher.